I'm Misha Hadaway, CEO and owner of Gentle Mama Counseling, and you're tuned into Ladies Power Lunch.
Hi, I'm Nadine Keller, CEO of Precision Sales Coaching and Training, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Debbie Sodergren, the CEO of Up Vibrations, and you are plugged into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Christy Sullivan, human design expert, author, and speaker, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Keisha Zullo, president of Events of Joy, and you're tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Mary Colangelo. I'm an international fashion therapist, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm LaKeisha Clemens, the CEO of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness. You are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Kiana Coachman Strickland, also known as DJ Q Boogie. I'm the founder of Female DJ Association, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life show. I am your host, Dr. Divya Shepherd. And in addition to hosting this show, I host a women's group called Ladies Power Lunch, which is an amazing assembly of women, mostly women in business. We're talking about women in small business, larger business, women who might have the brick and mortar or the online space as their place of business. We have women who might be in nonprofit and corporate. What holds us all together, even some of our retired members, is that we really believe in this idea that when we support each other, everybody wins. And so on our show, we're focused on talking about things that can help us grow our businesses, but also while we're at that growing our business work, that we also want to live our optimal life in the process. And so today's guest is a very dear friend to the show. Welcome, welcome, author JJ Hart, who is going to be sharing with us today a little bit about her new book. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the fact that we don't have to always be doing the exact same thing. Sometimes we can switch it up a little bit. So stay tuned for today's show. So many of you might be looking at our special guest today, JJ Hart, and you're thinking to yourself, JJ Hart? That looks so much like Jen Jones. We know her. We remember her from her publishing this amazing book that we all love, Intrapreneur for the Introverted Entrepreneur, where she gave us amazing strategies to build our businesses, even if we are a little bit more on the introverted side. And so you're probably wondering, is that Jen? She kind of looks familiar. So, JJ, can you share with everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of just help folks to understand what's happening here so nobody is confused?
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm really excited about so many things, but I am JJ Hart, which is my pen name. My real name is Jen Jones, and I did publish Intrapreneur with Green Heart Living and Dr. Divya, who really helped facilitate a lot of that. And, you know, it was like my feet into the publishing world, writing a book. And I said, you know what? I can do many things. We talked about hats, right? So I'm a realtor, I'm an author of a nonfiction book, and now I can say I'm also an author of a contemporary romance novel, Remembering You. And I'm really excited to share the process of that and share a little bit more about the story and how I got here, which is my friends decided to start reading books years ago. And I was like, I don't read fiction books. Like, I'm a self-help. I'm going to read all the stuff to make myself better. And, you know, kind of snobby with the whole fiction thing, to be honest. But I felt FOMO with friends last summer. And I was like, send me some books. I'm going to try it, thinking I'm not going to like this. But a few months in, I read over 150 books, and it gave me the inspiration to write a story that had been like floating around and might have been a nonfiction story at some point, but it was way better to write it as a fiction romance. It's a second chance romance story. So that's where I am now. It's not the only thing I do, but I'm excited to be able to launch Remembering You today.
Beautiful. I would love for you, Jen, to just share a little bit with us about the process that you went through going from being a nonfiction author to authoring a fiction romance novel, kind of not exactly the same thing. What was going on in your head while all of this was brewing?
Yeah, so I actually reached out to Elizabeth Hill, who is Greenheart Living Publishing, and she was like, I don't do fiction as an editor. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to go and find an editor specifically for the romance genre. And I'm like, how do I do that? So I took my own book and said, okay, how can I create relationships with other authors who are willing to help somebody new? And not everyone out there is willing to do that for many reasons. No judgment, but it was a little bit more difficult to find the right women authors to walk alongside of me. And that's how I've gotten here. The bottom line is because other people took a chance on a new author to help me out. But it was so what Elizabeth talked about during our editing process was, Jen, you do not know how to write incomplete sentences. And I share this story because I was doing that with this book too, is I was writing in fragmented sentences and it was pretty messy. But at the end of the day, it got me to learn. So there's a skill to writing romance novels, there's a skill to writing in general for a different, being able to do that a different way than something like a business book or a self-help book. And there's craft. And so as I've moved through all the pieces, I have learned so much. So I started writing this book in November. I finished it in January. So I can write about 1,000 words per hour if the story is ready to go. I can really sit down, and I'm a fast typer too, because back in the day we had typing classes. So I can type pretty fast. But I decided that I needed a professional editor. I needed a professional cover. So some of those things are very similar to, writing, a nonfiction book. Like you want someone to take the time and say, oh my gosh, I love the cover of this book. I'll actually look inside, or, when I say look inside, it's really just online where you're like, okay, what is this about? What is this book about? And so being able to work with an editor that, was from, actually she's an author too, which is great. Being able to figure out, okay, this is what you need to do. You need a blurb. When I'm like, what's a blurb? She's like, that like, those pieces in Amazon where, you read about the book. And I'm like, I didn't know that's what it was, what it was called. So there's a lot of, words that were different, but at the end of the day, it was this process of learning how to write better, learning how to capture readers at the beginning of your story. We talk about this when we speak, when we do events. It's like, how do you grab that person? How do you hook that reader to keep reading? And so it was a journey to get to this place. Book 2 will be going to the editor at the end of the month, and I'm actually rewriting a bunch of it. So it's just an ongoing, like, I'm a learner. I'm a lifelong learner. And so this has definitely put my learning to the test.
I love that you saw, we love collaboration here at Ladies Power Lunch. We're all about finding the folks who believe that supporting each other helps everybody to win. And I love that you, Jen, went and you found the folks who are like-minded, who are able to give you the support that you need, and that you recognize that nonfiction and fiction had different rules, and there are different things that you needed to do, and that it's not always going to be just plug and play with exactly the same things. So that's really outstanding. I know that this story is going to be outstanding. I can't wait to read it. I just downloaded my copy onto my Kindle, so I'm gonna dive into that really, really soon. Can you tell us, though, a little bit about how you came to getting this idea for this book? Because and there's a reason I'm asking this, because I truly believe that a lot of us have so many stories inside that we could share, but we don't even recognize that there's an opportunity to share it in this way. So share with us, how did it bubble up for you?
All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the dedication and then I'm going to get into it because there's a few points to it, right? So the dedication for this book is, for those who want a second chance, it comes when you least expect it. So I don't know if anyone knows my personal story, but at the end of the day, I got divorced and I met my now husband, who is like my forever soulmate. And he's the perfect person for me. And it's hard to come by. And I thought, after the divorce, I was like, I'm never getting married again. I'll probably never find anybody. Like, I'm so done with love. Like, I'm out of here. And so that part of that was really, it was like, okay, go and look at how can you write a story. So I have different pieces of my story, which is like, I was hung up on my high school sweetheart for years. And it was always like, I wonder where he is. I wonder what he's doing. And we all like stayed in contact like through Facebook, but it wasn't anything crazy. And I just decided, you know what? Wouldn't it be fun to write a second chance romance with some pieces of my own life kind of scattered in there? People call them uh, Easter eggs throughout the book, where it's like something that is personal that we pop into the books. And so that's been just fun storytelling. And I love Aruba. So I'll let you know it's a vacation romance part of the book. They're at a resort in Aruba. And I love Aruba. So I wanted it to be like a romantic destination, warm weather, palm trees. And that's where they literally run into each other 12 years later. And so it was just my imagination. Like, what would that look like? What would people react? How would people react? Because if that is your first love and you never found anybody else, like they never matched up to that, your high school sweetheart, your first love, your only love, your forever love. That's the angle that I had taken it. But a lot of things that are in the book are, much of that is from my husband. And I share things with him and he just kind of rolls his eyes, which is totally fine. He's super supportive, but he's like, okay, he just doesn't know what to do with me yet. But it's a beautiful love story of second chances. And what I've been telling people is that dedication is not necessarily for you to get together with your high school sweetheart, although those things do happen. It's how can we look at second chances in a different way? And for me, it was a second chance at love. It wasn't necessarily a second chance with my high school sweetheart, but that's how the book writes, which just ends up being a beautiful story of two people coming together.
What's the number one thing, Jen, that you want, the underlying message that you want folks to get from reading your book?
Ooh, that's a good question. All right. So I think the message from this book is stay open, open your heart, and be ready for the unexpected to come your way.
And that could be, I feel like, in any aspect of your life. It could be in romance, it could be in business, it could be some unexpected things happening to you, with your family or whatever, just being open and ready to receive all the beautiful, positive things that are available to us. I absolutely enjoy that. I invite folks to definitely run on out and get your book. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about the process, because I do know that there are folks out there who have a story. It might be a story inside, it might be a story that's sitting on their computer or on a hard drive somewhere tucked away. I'm not saying that that's happened to me, but it might exist and they might just be sitting on it, not knowing if they feel comfortable sharing that side of them with the world, or just not knowing if it is even good enough to get out there. Can you share with us what was your number one obstacle? What was the most difficult part of doing this project?
So doing this project, I think the most difficult part is people actually reading it. So I asked some friends who read romance to read my initial draft, and it was really bad. I can admit it was really bad. And it was nice to be able to hear from friends. Like, it kind of boosts your confidence a little bit that, this is a story that needs to be told. What I've learned along the way is that although your friends are amazing, sometimes you need additional feedback to say, like, this is a good story, which I do think that depending on where you are, actually, I guess it doesn't matter whether it's in fiction or nonfiction. I think finding an editor that can review it and say, like, this is a story that should be out into the world. And there's many different ways that you can do that, but at the end of the day, you do have to be comfortable with the story going live. But I think in order to get there, you have to go through the process of working with somebody who knows what to do. Like, an editor knows, like, okay, this story is great, but we need to tweak some things. And once you go through that with your editor, it becomes an opportunity to decide, okay, it's done now. So there is an investment, don't get me wrong, there's an investment. But I think once you've gone through that process and have had someone, critique in a very kind yet firm way to your story, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, once you go through that process, you're just in a better mental headspace to decide, like, okay, is this something that I'm going to move forward with and I'm going to publish myself, find a local publisher. I don't know anything about like traditional publishing. I just know Elizabeth Hill, and she's amazing and would be willing to publish your nonfiction book for sure. And I just decided to independently publish because the industry is a little bit different on the fiction side, where you have to like submit to traditional publishers. They're looking for specific things. And it just made sense to independently publish on Amazon. So not only am I on Amazon for paperback, but I also have, like you said, we have the Kindle version, the ebook, which is also on Kindle Unlimited. And being able to go through that process, that was thank you again to my friend Lila, who was like, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to go into, KDP. You got to do this. You got to click this. Don't click that, but click that. It was a process of somebody walking me through it, because once I do it once, I might have questions, but I'll be able to do it again. And it's been a great opportunity to give away ARC copies, so advanced reader copies of my book, so that people could actually give reviews. That's been amazing. We'll probably do.
And I look forward to getting mine tomorrow.
Yes, I have a whole bunch of books that I'm signing. And so it's been this process along the way to gain confidence to put it out into the world. And having those ARC readers, the advanced readers, did give me that kind of boost that, okay, it's not that my editor would be like, it's so great, publish it, if it was crap. So, but it's nice to collect those positive things that you can put under your, under your arm and say, okay, I'm going to do this. So my advice is get an editor.
Get an editor. I believe in life, for many things, we need an editor. I'll just say, I know there are folks who are watching along who they might already have a story. They might have something in their life that it would be cathartic for them to bring out, but they might not feel comfortable doing it on a nonfiction basis, but it might come out in a fiction way, and it might help them to move their lives forward by doing that. There's so many reasons, different reasons why folks actually lean into writing fiction. And so I would say, having gone through the process, can you give us some do's and don'ts? Because I love when folks can watch back our shows and say, okay, I got some really, really concrete things that I can go ahead and implement. If somebody's sitting in the cut and thinking to herself or himself, you know, I have this story in me and I'd love to bring it out. What are some of the do's and don'ts, maybe 5 or so do's and don'ts that you would share with us?
Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to start with the don'ts. So, don't underestimate yourself. I think that's a huge one for me. Is I was like, I'm just going to write this, and and I questioned it, but I'm like, I'm capable of doing this. And I think that, you don't want to get like, don't go down that rabbit hole. Don't, I hope I'm not like offending anybody, but like, don't self-edit unless you know what you're doing. There have been some books that I've read that I'm like, like you really needed an editor. There are people out there who are very much in the independent author world who are looking to help, what I'll call first-time authors. So find someone who can at least help you through the process. I guess these are my do's and don'ts, but so I'm gonna hit do's because I feel like those are really gonna be amazing. Do hire someone who is a professional. Hire a professional cover artist. Hire a professional editor. And do think about independently publishing because the cost to you is minimal. The time. So be prepared to spend time as an indie author. It's one of those things where you're doing everything. Do hire someone for marketing. I'm not there yet, but it is my number one thing once I start making a profit off the books is hiring someone for marketing. And I think that's really important. I have sort of just been watching and doing Canva. Do get Canva Pro if you're just starting out and you don't have the funds to hire someone for marketing. That's what I did. And it's been an amazing journey. I watch other people. So do watch other authors. What are they doing? What are, what are they posting? And then do get on social media. Instagram has been amazing for me, but it's been a little bit of a struggle. So it's just been hard. I haven't been on really doing a lot on Instagram, but it has taken off. I got over 600 followers, so I'm excited about that. So do get on social media. Don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into the social media piece. Go in, do what you need to do, and be very consistent with. Be consistent with everything. So be consistent. And then just like a word of, I guess, encouragement is that I did not expect to break even on this book, but by the end of the week, if not next week, I will have at least broken even on this book because I have reached out to all of my friends and the people that I know who wants a signed copy. So it's right here. Who wants a signed copy? And so I think just putting yourself out there. So do put yourself out there. I think that was like 3 don'ts and 7 do's, but just keep moving forward and it will be an amazing journey. And maybe it's not for you, but at least you tried and then you move on from there.
I love all of the things that you shared. And while you were sharing that with us, I was sharing them on our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook. So you can, if you missed anything that our dear friend JJ has said, you can go back to our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook community and just catch that on the replay. You mentioned social media. Are you doing anything, just out of curiosity, on TikTok with your book?
So that is on my list,
Okay.
but has not made it to the top of the list. So
Okay.
I was like, I decided Instagram was going to be my first stop,
Okay.
and TikTok is going to be more so a summer project to get
Mhm.
onto TikTok because I don't even use it personally. I don't get on TikTok, but everyone's telling me I need to be on there. But I also need to be confident enough to get on and actually post things that people are actually going to like. So that's what I've been doing. I feel like Instagram is like that happy medium where you can post things, play with things that I thought would get like hardly any views, got like tons of views and stuff that I'm like, oh, this is amazing, got very little views. So the rhyme or reason for everything. And that's why I think hiring someone for marketing is my next thing. But I also need to make a profit. And so I'm being very careful about the business side of being an author because you could throw a lot of money and not get the return. And so I've just been really good about, picking up the things that need to get done versus the things that, I want to get done.
Any final words for us, Jen? Anything you absolutely want us to take away from this conversation today, in addition to reminding us to go get your book?
No, I think just if you have a story, if you haven't written it, just open up a Google Doc, open up Word, and just start writing because you don't know where that's going to lead to. And so I would just encourage anyone who has a story, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, is get yourself onto your computer, spend an hour and just write and see what happens. If you already have something lined up, maybe you consider reaching out. I'd be happy to share some do's and don'ts with editors and what to look for. And I'd be happy to help anyone who is looking to head down that road. I'm not an expert, but I can definitely help and point you in the right direction.
Do you have any events coming up, any book signings, any places that you want people to meet you?
Oh, well, that is my summer project too. So I have bookstores that I have, a list of. I am heading out to Harvard Square in Boston next week to drop off a couple of consignment books at Lovestruck Books and Cafe. And it's
Mhm.
it's complete all romance book, independent bookstore. And so I'm hoping to have some events in the fall, both a launch party for book 2 and some events for book signings at some of the local bookstores. So I'll keep you
I
posted.
love it. And I love that it's a summer romance, it's a destination romance, and it's also coming out just in time for us to have our beach reads. So, can you tell folks again how they can get your book?
Yes. So if you're local and you want a signed copy, reach out, go ahead and message me. I'll drop a link in the Ladies Power Lunch, or you can email me at jjhart@gmail.com and we can chat about getting you a copy if you're local to Massachusetts, Connecticut, New England area. And if not, then you can hop onto Amazon, look up JJ Hart, Remembering You, and you'll pull it up right there on Amazon.
And it's the beginning of a series of books. Do you have a hub for your readers to meet, a place where your readers can meet you? I know you mentioned Instagram. Do you have like a JJ Hart Facebook community or?
I do have a JJ Hart Facebook group. It's JJ's Heart and Heat Club. And I believe it's a public group. If not, you can find me on Facebook, JJ Hart Author.
Awesome. At the end of every show, Jen, we pull a card, and I just thought we're talking about this beautiful romance. And so I thought I'd pull a card from the Love Your Inner Goddess deck. And I'm curious to see what pops up today. So, drum roll, please. Let's see what the universe wants us to remember as we're reading Remember You. It's the Shaman of Skulls that's shown up today, and I'll just share that with everybody. She's very beautiful, and she is card number 34 for those of you who have the Alana Fairchild guidebook. It says, in your heart, you've been asking for something different, something more, and the universe is answering your prayers. You do not need to be afraid of the changes happening or that are going to happen for you. They are part of the answer from the universe. You might feel uncertain because you cannot see how it's all going to work out, but know that the universe is caring for you and will provide a way to move through the transition with grace. You're not crazy to willingly enter this experience. There is nothing that you need to avoid, and so much that you will gain. I don't know. What is this evoking for you based on the conversation we've been having?
I think it's screaming to everyone who is like on the fence about writing something. It's like, don't be afraid, hop out and do it. And it just reinforces where I am right now. It's just like, keep writing and see where it goes.
Keep writing, folks, and see how it goes. And definitely do connect with Jen. And I also want to go so far as to say, be sure to download your copy of Remembering You. Do it today. And of course, if you're anywhere where JJ is going to be signing books or speaking or doing book readings or anything like that, and you can find all of that information in her Facebook community or on her Instagram, just go ahead and get in touch, become a part of it, and even have conversation with Jen about how you too can get your story out there. Because I know Jen's heart, and I know she is one of those people who really, really does believe that when we do support each other, everybody wins. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thanks for joining us today on the show. I want to remind you all too that if you're not already a member of our Ladies Power Lunch community, you are absolutely welcome. Just go to growsmarter.com/login. And there you'll find all the information about how you can be part of our community, how you can be part of our monthly get-togethers, how you can be part of our Facebook community, which is very active and connected every single day. So come join us. Go to growsmarter.com/login. Thanks, Jen, for being our amazing guest today. And thanks everybody for watching along. See you all on the next show. Bye, everyone.
CEO and owner of Gentle Mama Counseling, and you're tuned into Ladies Power Lunch.
Hi, I'm Nadine Keller, CEO of Precision Sales Coaching and Training, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Debbie Sodergren, the CEO of Up Vibrations, and you are plugged into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Christy Sullivan, human design expert, author, and speaker, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Keisha Zulo, president of Events of Joy, and you're tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Mary Colangelo. I'm an international fashion therapist, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Lakeisha Clemens, the CEO of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness. You are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Kiana Coachman Strickland, also known as DJ Q Boogie. I'm the founder of Female DJ Association, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.